How do we show up as the Christ presence to ourselves? We often talk about self-care. In fact, SEE, Spiritual Education and Enrichment, over the last couple of years, they added a class called self-care. As if it's this separate thing. It's this thing that we have to learn how to do. It's this thing that we have to carve out time for. Because in our culture, we're not taught how to love ourselves. We're not taught how to put ourselves first. If you're a parent, you're supposed to put your children first. If you're partnered, you're supposed to put your partner first. If you're, employed, you're supposed to put your job first. If you're a member of a church, you're supposed to put your church first. Throw all of that out of the window. Yes, even the last one. I invite you to entertain the idea of putting yourself first. And I do not mean at the expense of others. I mean as your divine birthright. It is your divine birthright to live as the Christ. And if we actually love ourselves first, we nurture and developed our inner Christ presence to the point that we can shine it out into the world. That sounds awesome, right? How many of you want to be bright lights? I want to be so bright that I blind people. I want to be so bright that others want to come to me and say, wow, what are you doing? I want some of that. Wow, when I'm in your presence, I feel peace in my heart. And I don't get to that point by sacrificing myself for others or for institutions. I get to that point by truly loving myself. And self-care isn't this separate thing that I have to put on my calendar, although if you're not good at it, please put it on your calendar until you do get good at it. Self-care is part of my day-to-day living, just like I sleep, I eat. Part of my self-care practice is creating time to meditate. And I remember years ago, I was taking an SEE class with Reverend Paul Hasselback, and I think it was a meditation class. It might have been different. And I said, I don't know, but my life gets crazy, and I don't know if my life gets crazy and then I stop meditating regularly, or if I stop meditating regularly and then my life gets crazy. I haven't figured out which comes first, but they happen at the same time. And I don't even remember what his response to me was, but whatever his response to me was something like, well, that's something for you to look at, honey. Right? And so it's always stuck with me. And our spiritual practice, our loving ourselves, our self-care, that is not that is not something to create a problem-free life, right? That's something to create a life where we are capable of navigating and moving through the problems and troubles and strife of life with a little more ease and grace. And we can measure this by asking ourselves, how easily are we knocked off center? How easily are we, pushed into overwhelm or chaos, or I don't even know what to do with myself? How easily are we knocked off our center? If you're easily knocked off your center, don't focus on the other people, focus here. What do I need to do for myself to love myself, to be the Christ presence for myself? What do I need to do inside to show up more Christ-like to my family and friends? What do I need to do inside of myself to show up as a brighter light to my opponents?